Okay, welcome to the show. This has become a TamCam tradition. We haven't officially started yet, but I have the film slate right there.
Yes.
I want you to go ahead and play your favorite rhythm.
You ready?
Yeah. Is that a Negro spiritual? What is that? Intro music. Hey guys, this is your girl TamCam, always TamCam, and welcome to the podcast. This is still the month of March where we are celebrating Women's History Month. And although the month of March is about celebrating women of the past, I'm choosing to celebrate the Trailblazers of the future. And right now we have a phenomenal woman, one of my good friends. I'm bringing all my friends on the show, on the TamCam show this month. We have Dawn Franklin. She is a creative jewelry designer here in Dallas, Texas. Say hello, Miss Dawn.
Hello.
She is so beautiful and very artistic. We met over 7 years ago in a book. No,
it's been longer than that.
Why didn't I even think of this? Okay, this is so crazy. I just had this thought. I shot your wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Why didn't I remember that?
I didn't remember that either.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so it's been a very long time ago.
Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't we both think of that? That is like...
That's been a very, very long time ago.
You got married in what year?
Which one?
Okay, to the most recent one I shot. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that was oh my gosh.
Are you serious?
2007.
Yeah.
That was 2007.
Was it really 2007?
Yes.
Okay, I started my business in 2007.
So it's been almost 15 years because it was August 2007.
That is... I said, which one? Okay, I wasn't even gonna say anything, but Dawn, this is what I love about Dawn. Dawn is, you're like a comedic actress. You're very, when you make a joke, you're very serious in your face. You're like, which one? Okay, so I knew that you've been married 3 times, right?
Yes, this is the 3rd.
And your husband was married
same thing.
3 times.
Yeah, same.
So when I found out, because you do a consultation with the client before you start shooting their event or whatever, she said this so nonchalant. Yeah, this is my 3rd wedding. He was married 3 times too, and I was like, okay, am I missing something? Like, but I love how you just embrace love and you just you're like, so what? Okay, and yeah, and so
I mean, life happens. We all make choices and. You make choices based upon what you know at that time. You make decisions based upon what you know at that time.
Exactly.
And it's not, it's not always a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. And so I think that's what I learned from you is to, okay, whatever people think about whatever, that's what they think. But you know what? This is my life and I'm going to do me, so. That
always believe in love. Always believe in love.
Always believe in love. You know what? That's going to be the title of this episode. I remember your wedding like it was yesterday. I really do. I remember you saying, hey, this is my 3rd wedding. I do not want anything big. I want to go ahead and do something very intimate. It was in your backyard of your new house.
Yes.
Are you still there?
We are still there.
House is gorgeous. Let me tell you, Dawn Franklin, guys, remember this name. Extraordinaire. Interior designer, amazing. Like I actually started like designing furniture. I designed this chair after you showed me that ottoman.
That's not the purple multicolored chair.
No, this is not the purple.
Okay.
No,
I was about to say.
No, not the purple multicolor. Okay. But
I love that chair, by the way.
This is so weird. How I specifically brought out this chair because I was like, okay, Dawn is artistic. She's very classy. I want to just have like a nice little Oprah moment, sit down. And I wanted to make sure I, feature like my couch and my chair. But
That's
I never
perfect.
thought that I did design this chair. I bought this chair for like $30, but it cost me $250 to get designed at Bonilla.
Bonilla.
Her designer.
Yes, Bonilla.
Yeah, who passed on.
I know.
He was a great, he didn't design the furniture. He just was the owner, right?
Yeah. But just a great soul, a great spirit, and had been in the community for decades. And the family's very well known and loved. Yeah.
So
but that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous.
Went on Harry Hines, bought some fabric. I'm like, I want to be like Dawn. Like, she designing stuff and everything. And this is like one of my favorite chairs. I had it in my Airbnb, and I really take pride in this chair.
You done good, girl.
Thank you.
You did well.
My little pleather. So, your new jewelry store, you just got a storefront, right?
I did. I just opened a showroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
A showroom.
Dallas. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not your traditional retail space. Mm-hmm. I didn't particularly want that.
Okay.
So this is a showroom just where people can come in and see my work and see my jewelry and what I have to offer.
Right.
It's near the Fair Park, so it's very centrally located, which I also love.
Near here?
It is. And what they call, I just recently found out, it's called, let me get this right, Exposition Park.
Okay.
Or Expo Park.
Okay.
I did the same thing. I was like, what?
It's coming up too.
It is.
That area is coming up.
It really is. So it's in South Dallas. So of course, if you live in the Dallas area, when I say the Fair Park, you know where that is. But I love it. It's one of those residential commercial spaces. Right. So, but the showroom, I'm there just a couple of days a week, and people can come in during those times and see what I have.
Nice. All right, so let's back up a little. I'm jumping ahead. Now, I introduced you as a jewelry designer and interior designer. You got to check out some of her pieces at her house. I'm going to do a tour because I'm pretty sure it's like 10 times better than I saw it. 15 years ago?
It's changed.
Now we're really dating ourselves. Okay, so give everyone a background about yourself. Personal up into your business.
Ooh, business. Let's see, where do I start? So, before actually going in business, I was a social worker.
What?
For 18 years. Yeah, that was my career.
This is new to me.
Yeah, that was my career.
Wow.
And actually, when we met in 2007, I was making that transition.
Okay.
I knew I didn't want to be a social worker anymore. I knew I wanted to do something different.
Okay.
Art. I think we're all creative, first of all. We all have that creative energy and spirit.
Absolutely,
spirit. But art had always been a part of me and part of my life. But that story of when you get ready to go to college and you're trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, and your parents are like, "What are you going to major in?" And everybody's asking, and I'm like, "Oh, art, art history, art culture." What they're like, "What are you going to do with that? How are you going to feed yourself?" I hadn't thought about all of that. And so I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to feed myself. So let me find another degree. And it was social work because I still consider myself and know myself to be one where I'm here to provide a service. I'm here to serve.
Right.
That's part of my life's purpose is to serve.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me find a degree that will allow me to do that, encourage me to do that.
Right.
And it was social work. That, and I'm not very good at math. So I was also trying to find a degree that didn't require a lot of
numbers.
I mean, I can do 4 + 4 equals 8 most of the time. So that's good. But I did that for 18 years. So worked with various nonprofits, families. And then at the end, like I said, around 2005, 2006, I was like, there's time to do something different.
Wow, I love
and
that.
I wanted to just express that creative side in me. I was like, it's time for that now.
Yeah.
So I took a class.
Yeah.
A basic jewelry making class.
How did you choose jewelry?
It chose me.
Whoa.
And that's the truth. I was literally more window shopping on a beautiful day.
Right.
It was an outdoor shopping mall. I was living in Houston at the time.
Oh.
And walked by this jewelry store or a bead store or something of the sort. And they had advertising on their window about beading classes. And I was like, oh, okay. how to make your own earrings and wire wrapping. I was like, that sounds interesting.
Oh, wow.
So took a class, learned the basics, and went from there.
Wow. And so you've always been interested in jewelry?
No. That's a crazy thing.
It did choose you.
Yeah, it did, because most people that know me know I don't wear jewelry. I'm that same hoop girl, you know, same pair of hoop earrings.
Girl, me too.
Hoop earrings, a ring, and a watch. That was me.
Girl.
That was me. So no jewelry. I'm still in that place. So I really designed for others.
Okay.
It's only been in recent years that I've actually started wearing my own jewelry. I know that sounds crazy.
Okay. What?
I know. Because I'm really designing for
other
others.
people.
And it's what I enjoy doing, but not necessarily just saying wearing all the time. It was not, I didn't think about it. So friends, of course, were like, Dawn, no one is going to know you design jewelry if you don't wear it. And it made sense.
Right,
It's
it
like,
does.
it's like a clothing designer or anyone else not wearing their pieces or not promoting themselves in the way you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And so, it's been recent. I mean, 2018, 2019. I started wearing my own stuff. I know it's crazy.
Wait, just recent?
When I say recent, it's been recent years that I have to make a very conscious effort about it.
I'm trying to think, okay, if I was a clothing designer, would it make me vain to wear my own designs?
No, I don't think it's, and I didn't even really think about it that way. It was just not a thought, because that is not, jewelry was never really, because
you was never a jewelry person. You were making it for people.
Yes. Yeah. So there's still, no, it really wasn't a thought that I really had, but I see the necessity of it.
Right. Because I see it as you I'm looking at this ring right here and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not a jewelry person either. I rotate 3 pairs of earrings.
See?
And then most of the time I lose them. So it's just 2 pairs.
There you go.
But I'm looking at this ring. Let me see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not a jewelry person, but I would rock that.
Right.
I would be rocking it so much that my finger would probably swell up or whatever. It is so cute.
Thank you.
Yeah. I literally, when I go shopping, I remember, and this is a true story, I actually bought all the clothes, including the jewelry, from a mannequin. I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time. All that looks good. It looks like me. I'll take it. Salesperson, stripper. Take it all. Yeah. But this is very interesting. That, first of all, I didn't know you lived in Houston. Are you from Houston?
Nope. Dallas is home.
Okay. Dallas is home. So you were out there making a living, and you didn't love jewelry in the beginning, but jewelry chose you. Wow. So how's the business going right now?
It's going great. And that's another part of that story too. I never thought about making it a business. Yeah. That was not in the forefront of mine either.
I think that's not a bad thing. I think, well, first of all, we're all in business to make money, of course, but I feel like you really should just, do it because, like you said, you want to serve. And I think that's so important that we all serve. But most importantly, you should do it because you're having fun. We had that discussion before we started. And everything I do, I have to be having fun. I can't do anything unless I'm fully enjoying it. And it looks like you really do.
I do. I enjoy it. It's breathing for me, being creative, as I'm sure you can appreciate.
Breathing, explain that.
It's life.
Yeah.
Air is life. Yeah. Water is life. Yeah. So without those things, we're not existing. So for me, without being able to create and express my creative energy, then I'm not living. So I'd be doing it regardless, because I did it for, oh my goodness, from up until, I didn't start the business or create the business until 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's this is my 10th anniversary year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Of the actual business. So it took some time. So we're talking 2000, and I took the class in 2005, moved back to Dallas in 2007, still, doing things, creating necklaces and jewelry but it took me until 2007 to 2012 to say, okay, maybe as a business, I can see it. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, your name sounds famous, Dawn Franklin. I mean, that name alone makes me want to just buy something from you, because I'm like, wow, that sounds expensive. Are you like expanding on your jewelry? Like, are you like adding anything extra to your repertoire?
I am, because what I failed to mention is that I actually, when I say design, I'm the architect of it. So my jewelry, I'm actually making by hand. So each piece I make by hand.
Exactly, yeah.
But in expanding, I am expanding to design jewelry that can be worn by the masses. And what I mean by that is, of course, with me making the pieces and designing the necklaces and the earrings and the bracelets, they're one-of-a-kind pieces. So I want to offer a little bit more and expanding my jewelry design and offering pieces that can be worn and I can share them with many, many people.
So when you design it, is there a place you can, I'm pretty sure there is, but you can take that piece and then show them how to replicate it?
That's what I'm working on right now. Actually, yeah, for the very first time.
Wow.
Very first time.
Wow.
I have sketches that are due tomorrow.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious. It's crazy that we're talking about it because this is new. I'm embarking upon brand new territory.
Oh my God. How
I've been
exciting.
thinking about it for like the past 2 years, but my first collection, I'm going to start really small because I want to do it well.
Right.
And it will be earrings.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And they still will be, culturally relevant and culturally specific.
Okay.
But, and meaningful because I'm very intentional about that. But this is the first.
Are you going to call it something special? Like,
oh, I haven't decided.
because you know me, I'm like already coming up with names.
Oh,
like,
okay,
DF original, Don Franklin original, or
I love that.
Franklin exclusive.
I'm definitely going to think about that. Yes, because I want to be able to differentiate those from what I make by hand.
Right.
So you're giving me something to think about now because it's a lot to do.
Right. Well, maybe we should have like a think tank or mastermind and
so
come
much
up with.
Needed.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're reconnecting. It's just been so long. Like, what was the first year? And I know it was like, for you, I know it was like this for everyone. What has the first year of the pandemic been like for you? And do you still think we're in a pandemic?
No, we're not. I think we're slowly transitioning out of that space and becoming more comfortable and learning how to live with it.
Right.
When I mean by it, the virus itself and what that means. The pandemic was, as it was for everyone else, just it was overwhelming and crazy enough. My first trip to Africa. I went to Ghana in 2020.
You told me that, yeah.
But it was in March of 2020. So, yes.
The height.
And we returned on March 18th. And every time I give that date out, people are like, oh my gosh, you barely made it back. We returned back to the States on March the 18th, and the country, at least our country, shut down by the 20th.
Yeah.
By that, Texas shut down by that following week. So we made it back in. And one of my reasons for going was so that I could source my own materials. Because as I mentioned, my jewelry collections, any designs that I'm making by hand right now are inspired by Africa, by the many countries and cultures and colors of the continent. So I was there in Ghana specifically to source my own materials. Wow. So in coming back, I get back to Dallas. I quarantined myself for 14 days and I'm sitting on my sofa just in almost shock and like,
is this really happening?
Yes. Because what does that mean? Because at the time, 85% of my income was in person. So no more in person for indefinitely at that point. Didn't know when. So it was really just a time of, and we chatted a little bit about that.
Just
a time of reflection and being still.
Yeah.
And my creative energy went in other places. Right. Home interior.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I wasn't inspired at that time to design jewelry. Right. Because that comes from such a deeper place and a different place than the other creative things that I do, and a more intimate place and definitely more spiritual. Do you have to be inspired to? I'm inspired by a lot of things. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And when I say that, I mean life in and of itself. Okay. From colors to textures to sounds. Right. The sounds? Sounds.
Wait. you get inspired by sounds to design?
From water to traffic noises. I know it sounds crazy.
How do you get inspired from noise? That's what I want to know.
When you think about traffic noises, from the screeching of tires to the blowing of horns to the sounds of a big truck or a train and all the sounds.
Right.
And we actually live near a train track, like a block away. And all the rumblings of that. And what that translates into is the colors and the textures.
That is talent.
The layers of the necklaces that I may design and all of that. And because it's actually a rhythm. It creates a rhythm. The sound and all the different sounds create rhythms themselves. And what that translates into for me is actually what that necklace looks like.
Okay, my brain is like, my wheels are really turning. I'm like, okay, what can I compare this to? Because I've heard people get inspired by sound, but it's mainly like directors. But, you know, and I see how it translates sound to a movie soundtrack.
Right.
But it's a visual. And so your pieces are visual. So now it makes more sense to me. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And then the colors of nature, of course.
Well, definitely colors. Yeah. And texture.
And texture.
Yeah. But sound really like you're opening up my mind now. Like, as a photographer, how can I relate sound to some of my pieces? So I don't know. It's a challenge
because it even with the sounds, they have texture themselves. Some are harder and some are soft.
Right.
And,
you got me thinking, girl. This is interesting. I'm sorry I'm spending so much time on this,
and music too. I'm inspired by music for the very same reasons. I always saw music, and I still see music in color. So when I close my eyes and I listen to music, I see the color of it.
Girl, you like a superhero. You like
I'm not a superhero.
No, like seriously, like I feel like for me as a photographer, I have this keen eye for like seeing people. Like if there were 3 pairs of family in a room, I can match them all up because I'm very good with features. Yeah. Like I've done that like since I was in elementary school. This little boy, he was in my class. He was related to my stepfather. He looked like a little version of him. And I've done it throughout my whole life. That's just one example. I know that's my superpower, like visual. But hearing, I know you have to have a trained ear. And that's what I'm trying to learn with this whole podcast thing is, you know, balancing the sound and everything. But for a jewelry designer to be inspired by sound, wow, I want to research that. Yeah. So we're going to do a part 2 before this year is out. Like, I want to see what music inspires your jewelry.
Oh, right. Yeah. That would be so cool.
Awesome.
I'd love to.
So what do you like to do for fun?
I'm still a little nerdy, so when I say that, I love to read.
Yeah, I was just about to say we were in a book club, so I knew you was going to say that. Yeah,
I love to read. I love music. So everything as it relates to the fine arts, from music to dance, theater, live theater, live music, all the time.
Okay, yeah. I love the way you and Kim. This is our mutual friend. This is how I met you, through Kim. Kim, how did I meet Kim? I don't know. How did I meet Kim?
Our lives have been intertwined for so long.
Exactly.
It's I don't remember.
Right. I mean, 15 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
So I think I met Kim through DHA maybe the first year. And then she was like, oh, you're a photographer. My best friend is getting married. And like I said again, I love your friendship with Kim. Like,
it's been, she and I have been friends. We don't count. We've stopped counting. That's how long it's been. It's been over 25 years.
Wow.
I know. I met her my first job out of college.
Wow.
Yeah, first job out of college. So that's how long it's been.
What drew you to Kim?
We share that same energy and spirit, creative, the fine arts of dance, and she is, and her background is the arts, dance, theater, acting. So all of that, we have that and much more in common. But that's what
brought y'all together,
brought us together in that bond. Yeah,
nice,
definitely.
Hello, Kim. We just want to say hello. You need to be on my show too. So
there you go.
I'll call you soon.
Speaking her name.
Yeah, exactly. So you like to read for fun?
Fine arts, like I said, theater, dance, live music. Love a good museum. Just going, and it's just so fulfilling and when you ask the question about what inspires, that definitely inspires. Travel, love that for the same reasons.
Yeah,
same reasons.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, those are the things and I love, of course, a good rom-com.
Oh yeah,
romantic
hello.
Comedy.
A nice J-Lo has another one out, and I thought I was like, is this a remake? But her rom-coms are very consistent. It's like
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's I think it's almost based on her life. I don't even want to say what it is because like I don't know all the details. Like I just kind of glanced over the preview, but I was like, oh wow, she made a movie now that the pandemic is nearly over. So yeah, but you know what? Now thinking about J-Lo, if I was to inspire to be like anyone, it would be like J-Lo because she's like hitting it in every aspect. She is so unapologetic, and now that I think about it even more. She is so much like you too. She loves love, and I love that you have that great spirit like her. Where you're just like, this is my life. I'm gonna do what makes me happy.
And it's about growing. You know what I mean? And I think when you look at those in the public eye, the celebrities, the entertainers like J-Lo, she has grown.
Right.
When you think about where she was publicly in her career and just as a dancer.
Yes.
But for those that don't allow themselves, and we were talking about that earlier too, you just can't, as a creative, you can't allow yourself to be, as they say, pigeonholed.
Yes.
Or just seen in one space.
Right.
Because as a creative, you are more than just a photographer.
Right.
I am more than just a jewelry designer.
Right.
Because that's just one way that we've chosen for that moment to express our creativity.
Exactly.
And that's important for us to know first. So that when we put it out there and we're sharing it, we're sharing it with that same energy. That this is just not who I am.
This is something that needs to be taught in school, but it's something that almost can't really be taught. It's almost like you have to either be told by someone with more worldly experience, or you just have to experience it yourself in life. That you don't have to just do one thing in the arts, or in one profession. A foot doctor may also be a violin player, so maybe they don't relate, but I'm pretty sure there's some, overlapping that could be done with that. I would love to see what it would be,
But that's a great example because most of the time when you think about it, like I was referencing before when I got to college, it's like parents asking, how are you going to feed yourself? Oh, let me find a career. And that's what happens. Yeah. Because especially those, like you give the example of the foot doctor.
Right.
And once upon a time, he probably wanted to be a concert violinist.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was his dad or parents were like, no, you're going to become a doctor.
Right.
And he was like, okay, I'm going to become a doctor. But I'll do, I'm going to play my violin still. Yeah. And that's what happens.
Right.
And I think it is important for parents to encourage and, to see their child for who they are at that age, because when we're young, we are
curious.
At our we're at our most I'll say genuine and authentic selves.
Right.
We really are.
Yeah, we have no distractions at all. We don't
This is what I like to do and I want to do it.
Everything's a possibility. So yeah, I really do feel like parents do need to just, embrace the creativity or whatever that kid want to be. So,
exactly.
So what about kids? Is kids in your future, or do you mentor kids? Or are you hyperventilating?
I'm like on the other side of my future. No, that would be a miracle, a biblical one.
It's almost like me with kids. I'm like, what? Next question.
No, but honestly, that was, and I think you and I had this conversation a few years ago.
Yeah, we did.
That.
And I think that's why we bonded so much, because it's hard to find people in that room or on that tribe that, we're both creative. We both, don't have kids. Once I'm in the married room, then I'm definitely going to be pulling you in there for some advice.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, I think just as women, period.
Right.
There's an expectation for us to follow that map of marriage and children and, all of that, what it includes. Yeah. And that's not necessarily for everyone.
Right.
And I learned and found out that it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And once I became comfortable in that, knowing and understanding.
Because it wasn't always comfortable, right?
Well, it wasn't. It was comfortable before I realized I didn't want to be a mom.
Right.
And then it became a little uncomfortable, but just for a short period of time.
Really? Like how short? Like a day?
Not long at all. Because I've always been very comfortable in me. And I was like, once I knew, and I had to be still in it. I'm going to be very honest, because my initial response, once I actually sat down and asked myself that question, my initial response to myself was no. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me make sure that this is not in God's plan, because it may be in his and just not in mine. And then I asked God to, if this is if this is in your plan for me, then give me the desire to want.
Girl.
I didn't set a timeline because, you can't. But I don't know how much time had passed. But I woke up, asked myself that question, and it was still the same answer. And I think it is necessary for people to have the desire, for a man and a woman, not just a woman. Right. Of course, us more so, because we have to do the carrying in our womb and our bodies. But for both to ask themselves, do I want to be a parent?
Wow. I love the way you said you went to sleep and you woke up and you had your answer. I've done that so many times, and I've never read this anywhere, and I never even heard anyone ever mention that. But I do feel like the best way to communicate to God is in the subconscious, because in the conscious, we're just so in our heads, or, the flesh takes over, the ego takes over. Yeah. But, when you go to sleep, the same thing happened when I started my Airbnb. I was like, Lord, what am I doing? Like, I started my Airbnb in December, and I went to sleep. And I said, Lord, if I'm supposed to do this, please give me an answer. Pretty much what you did. Woke up, got my first booking in December, which is weird because in the Airbnb world, December and January is like the slowest time. It seemed like it would be the busiest time, but it is actually the slowest time for people, which is, I'm still trying to figure out why. But my first guest name was Jesus Girl. I mean, it really was Jesus, but
but still, the translation is Jesus.
But guess what it said?
Wow, that's crazy.
So, when I woke up, you get a little ding on your app for Airbnb. It says, Jesus is coming to rent your space. I said, what? I'm like, oh my God. Thank you. Maybe I should be doing this.
Thank you, Jesus.
I know, right? Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. So they were my first, I've never told that story before.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I love that.
I said when I start talking more about the Airbnb experience, I definitely want to share with people that you really gotta, anything you do is always a psychological thing or a spiritual thing. You kind of just, you gotta get rid of the worry. If you have the idea to do it, whatever. Yeah. It can be done.
It can be.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
It can be.
Yeah, so...
I mean, it's human nature to be reluctant, to be hesitant, and to be afraid, and to have a fear. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. What's wrong is when you don't move through it. You have to move through it. That's the requirement, because you're going to be afraid. You're going to be afraid along your journey. Right. There are times when you're like, okay, what am I doing? Should I do this? Yeah. I'm going to do it. Yeah. What's going to happen? I don't know. Okay. But I'm doing it. Yeah. Period. Yeah. And you just do it. Right. And it's you're going to have another time as you grow and as you open yourself up and you expose yourself to more opportunities and more people, and it's going to happen. It's natural, but you have to move through it. You can't allow yourself to be frozen in it. That's when it's most harmful. Oh my god. That's when it's harmful. Yeah.
One thing is, I always tell people, I follow this YouTuber. Her name is Marie Forleo. I don't know if you know.
Yes.
Well, you know this famous phrase that she always say. Everything is what? Figure outable.
I love it. She wrote a book about it too, didn't she?
She did. She wrote a book about it. She did an audio book about it.
But that's the truth.
It is.
You just figure it out.
Right.
There are some things you don't know and you won't know until you get into it, and then you just figure it out along the way. But it's also what I've learned too. It's just about giving yourself grace. Right. And forgiveness. As I say, charity begins at home. Right. Home is you.
Yes. Hello.
You know?
And my middle name is Charity. No, I'm just kidding. No.
But yeah, just giving ourselves that love.
Yeah.
And that grace.
Yeah.
And that forgiveness.
Yeah.
And knowing that as you grow, you're going to stumble and fall, and just get up, dust yourself off, and keep going.
And like Lisa Nichols said, she said,
love her too.
Yeah, exactly. One of my, in my mind, she's one of my good friends. Just give yourself 1 million chances, or 1,000, she may have said. But, just like you said, give yourself grace and don't be so hard on yourself. And normally when I'm frustrated about something, just like I mentioned, I was dealing with a video issue a couple of days ago. And I went through every scenario from A to probably W, but then when I got to almost Z, I was like, let me just call Adobe. Just call Adobe. Call Adobe and see. Like, I went through this before a couple of years ago where I was having software problems, and still I couldn't, like you said, you don't like numbers and stuff like that. I have I wouldn't even say this is an issue, because if it's complicated instructions, then I do have a problem with it, but I could not figure out the instruction they kept on typing to me, because it was like, through the chat. Oh, yes. And I said, can you just take over my computer? Because I know they have that capability. Right. I will sign the waiver, and they fixed the problem. I had been trying to get through this whole problem for 4 hours. They fixed it immediately, and like because she said, everything is figure outable. It
is. And in some of that, in that humility, because as an entrepreneur, you will be humbled. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And in that humility, it's being able to say, I just don't know. Yeah. And sometimes here lately, I've not only do I say I don't know, but I don't want to know. And that's when you pass it off to somebody else. It's like, I don't want to know that.
I love that. Yes.
Who can I find that already knows this? Yeah. That I can pay to know this and do this for me, because I don't want to know how to do that.
Exactly. You don't have to know everything.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You have to be aware and know that, like you just said, this is figure outable. Yeah. That somebody can figure this out for me. Right. But you have to be aware of that, but I don't have to know how to do it.
Right. No. You're good at what you do. Exactly. I want to be good at what I do. Exactly. And normally, and you probably can relate to this too, normally when you're in that frustrated mind frame, it's because either you're hungry, you're tired, Yes. I work better in the morning. So like me dealing with this issue all day and trying to take a break and walk and bring it, coming back and trying to deal with it again, it led all the way to like maybe 8 o'clock when I called Adobe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, what is the problem? And so like 8 o'clock, girl, like I'm telling you, that's almost bedtime time for me. Like, yes. Yeah. So
no, I completely understand. And yeah, you get frustrated because you're solo. Yeah. You are
and I'm human too.
One woman show. Yeah. You do it all.
One thing that I'm realizing as an entrepreneur, and maybe you can speak on this too, is I feel like in some cases I'm not meant to like work 8 hours a day. No. And I'm not meant to work every day. No. Of course, what I do, I love what I do, but sometimes even when you love to do something, you got to give yourself a rest. How do you feel about that? My personal theory.
No, that is not a theory. That is truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is truth, because again, when you are, I'll just say in that space of being an entrepreneur, and I haven't grown yet to where I have staff people. Okay. I'm getting there.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm not there.
Okay.
So when someone asked me not too long ago, they were like, well, who helps you? Who works with you? And I was like, oh, or how many people? I think that was the question. I was like 3. And they were like, oh, that's good. I was like, yeah.
Me, myself, and I. Love it.
That is it. And so with that being the truth, you have to, or I have to, as you just said, for yourself as well, I have to step away. Yeah. And I have to create that space so that I can breathe and focus, because nothing stifles creativity more than not having the time, and so, and
having too much time too.
Yeah. I mean, and you can't have, it's like that balance, you have a balance, but every day that balancing changes, people talk about having a balanced life. But with the understanding, coming back to that grace, that every day it's a balancing act, because what was heavier one day is not going to be the same the next. And just that understanding. So it changes from day to day. Yeah. But yeah, creating that space, I've also learned that I need to be more structured in my day. And what I mean by that, like Mondays are my admin days, right? You know, my social media days. And this is just something that's new. So I haven't marked on my calendar that that's what I do. Right. You know? Yeah. Now, that's not to say, though, if I get inspired and creative, some of that may be ditched and thrown to the side, because when that inspiration or that desire hits, I'm all in.
You got to.
You know? And it's, I don't care what time it is, what day it is, what's going on. Things are going to shift because I'm here.
You got to express it at that
time.
And
I let everybody know, don't call me. I'm not responding, which they already know that anyway. That's what I was about to say. Like my notifications on my phone, I even had to shift that.
Yeah, of course.
So it shuts down at 8 p.m. and I'm not available again until 9 a.m. because I don't want to hear the phone. Right. Now, if I choose, that's different. Right. But, you know, you have to create those boundaries for yourself. Exactly. So that you can be at your best. Exactly. When you need to be at your best. You can't always be accessible. No. And so just creating that space and making sure that even my own mother knows not to call me before 10 a.m.
Wow. So tell me this. I think I met your mother. I'm pretty sure I met her at the wedding years ago. Yes. How does she feel about your new career direction?
Wow. It's crazy that you asked that question. Several years ago, my mother came to me. I was at my parents' home, and I don't know what she and I were doing. I think I was looking for something, as a matter of fact, some old sketches from high school and college. Yeah. And she told me she actually apologized for not being more supportive when I wanted to pursue arts and to get a degree in arts. And I was just so overwhelmed by that. And I mean, that's love, you know, but I told her really, and my response to her was thank you. Yeah. But I didn't know. And what I meant by that, what I meant by that was I didn't know what my options were in art anyway. Oh. You know what I mean? So I had not been exposed to a lot at that time in life when by the time I was 18, I hadn't been exposed to a lot of art. Yeah. So I didn't really know what my options were. Right. So I wasn't able to say when my parents posed that question to me, what are you going to do with it? Right. I didn't know. Yeah. So because I didn't know. But you were just
running on your feelings.
Yeah. But because I didn't know what that there were so many different options, I couldn't say, well, I'm going to be a curator. Right. Or I'm going to do this. I knew I wasn't going to teach because that's what my dad asked me. And I was like, no, I'm not teaching.
Why would you run away from teaching?
Well, he was a teacher. And I was like,
that's what I figured. Yeah.
No. I don't want to do that. But, I didn't have that as a response. And that's what I told my mom. I was like, thank you for that. But I didn't know for myself. Right. So,
so she wasn't non-supportive, but she didn't
she didn't know either. It's like, well, there was nothing, she couldn't give me any direction either in art because basically, with the exception of my millennial cousins and my Zoomer cousins now, I was the first to say in the family, hey, non-traditional. It was more of a non-traditional type of road that I was looking to carve out for myself. Right. And so no one else could really give me any guidance in that area. Right. That's why I think it's so important for parents, sure, to encourage and nurture, but also to reach out too. If you don't know for yourself, hey, my child wants to do this. Right. Can you help him or her? Exactly. Because I don't know what they're talking about. Right.
I was listening to a motivational speaker as I was walking Snapshot, and I think it was Earl Nightingale, and he was saying something to the fact where, if you expose someone to, traits of a shoemaker, well, the speech was made back in the 1950s, so but he's talking about shoemakers.
It's applicable.
Yeah, it's applicable. Yeah, they still got shoemakers, cobblers. Yeah, shout out to the cobblers. Yeah. So he was saying if you expose someone to a different trait, basically to sum it all up, then you will awaken those interests. So I fully believe that, a lot of people are so confused on what they want to do. And when I say people, I mean the younger generation, people coming out of high school, or even people in elementary school, because they are not exposed to different things, you know, like you don't know your potential until you're actually, exposed to it. And you're like, oh, I figure I know, I feel like I can do that. Like even when I started emceeing at the state fair, I never knew I can do that. I'd never done it before.
Right.
But when I knew in my heart, I was like, I feel like I can do it, but why do I feel like I can do it if I have no experience? Because, that's just an untapped talent. I had never been exposed to it before.
Exactly.
So,
and exposure awakens. It awakens.
It awakens.
Yeah, even you're able to find that connection. And children can find that connection.
Right.
It's unconscious. They're not going to verbalize it the way that we can as adults.
Right.
But it awakens something in them for them to be able to see themselves in that person, in that action, in that exactly to say, ooh, I can do that. I feel like I can do that. So I can do that.
You see a small kid looking at you while you're in your profession or whatever, you're changing the direction, the paradigm of their life.
Exactly.
If they're like just staring at you and daydreaming, they're at awe. They may not know the words, but in their little mind, they're like, wow, that looked like that can be my cousin or my aunt or whatever. Just like with the new judge.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean,
she's representing.
Yeah.
And to be able to, as a little girl, and all the little girls who are watching and whose parents, again, who are exposing them to this, once in a lifetime. Well, hopefully not once in a lifetime. Yeah. But definitely historical moments.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's why exposure is so important.
Exactly.
To give our children and ourselves. Yeah. Because it's important when you're young. Mm-hmm. But it's still necessary as an adult.
Yeah, it is.
To awaken the dreams that are within us that have lied dormant, or that we've pushed we've pushed aside because maybe we had to, because life does happen.
Right, exactly.
And so, but to awaken those things in us, 2020 did that for a lot of people.
2020. Oh, mine
2020,
went to
the pandemic did that for a lot of people.
I'm thinking 2020, the TV show. What? I'm like 2020.
But in that stillness, to be able to say, who am I?
Exactly.
What do I want to do? And what's that creative? But going back to your question about my parents now, very supportive.
That's good.
Very supportive, very encouraging. My mom was like, I know, she said this to me during the pandemic. She was like, I know this is something that that you want to do, and you've been doing it now for 10 years. And, it's the only thing that brings you joy and excitement. And it does. It does. I appreciated my 18 years as a social worker. Because I know that it helped to grow me in a lot of different areas, internally and interpersonally. Yeah. But I knew also when it was time to let that go. So I just transitioned out of that.
Yeah, everything is a connection, so I feel like every 10 years we should be transitioning into something else, because as far as I know, this is the only one life we have, right? Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it right now. Yeah. It's today. Yeah. Today matters.
Yeah.
Today matters. Everything you do, everything we're doing today matters.
Oh my God, it does matter. What's your belief? What's your spiritual belief?
Wow, that's a big question.
Hey, see, this is what I love about this podcast, because I'm asking questions that you may not normally get asked. You may know, but maybe you might say something and discover something that you didn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, really? That is my spiritual belief? Yeah. Because I do feel like we always have like maybe two people inside of us. We got the flesh, and then we got that spiritual
Almost definitely.
Person. Yeah, like most that definitely. Movie Cocoon, when the spirit kind of came out the body. Yeah.
That is definitely who we are. We were created and made in that way.
Exactly.
And I said that's a big question too, and it's because I've been in conversation before about that. Okay. In terms of spiritual belief, but I don't consider myself to be very religious. Okay. If that makes any sense. Yeah. Growing up, as far as religion is concerned.
Sorry, I just had a funny thought. I remember, I'm sorry, don't forget what you were going to say. No. But the funny thought was, I remember when I first met you. The memory's starting to surface where you were drinking wine, and I'm like, aren't you married to a pastor?
No, I'll tell you something even funnier, because my husband is a minister.
Yeah.
So when I was telling my close girlfriends that I've known since like junior high school that we were engaged, we were getting married,
right.
and they already knew he was a minister.
Right.
And so both of them separately from each other, because I told them separate.
Okay.
And they had the same question, and the question was, has he met you? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? But what they know is what I just said. I'm not very religious. And I grew up Baptist, which I still consider myself to be in selecting a religious denomination.
Right.
But throughout growing and life and my relationship with God, I believe in God, is an intimate personal relationship.
Right.
So for me, it's more spiritual. And what that means is taking the time and making the spiritual connection every day, speaking to God, being in conversation, being in meditation, being in prayer, the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, the end of the day, and having and feeding and building that. Do I go to church? Do we go to church? Yes, because it's necessary. Yeah. But that's when I go, when it's necessary for me. Yeah. Do I go every Sunday? Nope.
I'm trying not to laugh. Okay, you're laughing. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
Don't go every Sunday.
Right.
But I go when it's necessary. Yeah. And there's a regularity to that for me, because it is a monthly travel. It is a monthly necessity and experience. And having that communion and being in the presence of others that share the same spiritual belief, religious belief. But I think religion can be very confining if we're not careful.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And we don't allow ourselves to grow. We don't really connect in a relationship with God. Yep. And so it's
because we take it for granted, because this is a thing that we're doing every week. So if it's repetitive, then you're taking it for granted.
Exactly.
So I think for me, because I don't go to church as often as I was in the past, and my background is just like yours. I grew up Baptist, but right now I consider myself more spiritual. Yes. And even having this conversation with you, I feel like this connection. I feel like God is like in this present place, because
all the time
we're talking about Him and we're talking about being creative. But if I was to go to a church right now, I would probably feel more connected in my mind, probably more than anyone, because on a daily basis, I know that all of this is possible, meaning all this physical things that's happening right now is because of Him. Yes. Everyone else,
it's living it,
it's living it.
And that's the spiritual practice. Yeah. Because it is a practice.
It is a practice.
And we don't put those two together quite often. It's like, what is your spiritual practice? And that practice is active. It's moving. It's everything that you do. And so that's what's important, is that spiritual connection and living it, walking it, talking, how we relate to each other.
Exactly.
And how we give each other grace and forgiveness and love.
Okay, girl.
And so when you're bringing people, how do you bring people to Christ? And you hear ministers and pastors and missionaries speak to that. It's how you live.
Right.
It's how you live.
It's how you live.
People want to know the God because they see the God in you.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. I truly believe
it's just that easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think my breakoff point, meaning when I started separating myself from not going to church as often, is when I really started looking at other religious beliefs. And I'm like, okay, they believe in this type of God, and they believe that, this happened, in their background. And so it started making me question and wonder, like, okay, well, what's the common denominator? Well, God and love, And if you have those two ingredients in your life, then, I mean, you don't need anything else, really. I mean, there's more ways in life, in my mind, or in my example of life, in my daily life, you can give your time, you can give you can share in so many other ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know people are like, well, you just trying to get out of like tithing with money. No.
Because as far as my understanding and knowing,
right,
tithing is more than money.
Hello.
It is more than money. And when you think about it, it's easier to give money to anything.
Right.
It's easier to donate than to volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's more than money.
It is.
And, in being obedient, one of the things I'm also learning with my spiritual practice is the fact that being obedient and sacrifice, they come together. You can't do one without the other.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's knowing all of that. It's practicing all of that. And just in life daily and sharing and being in good company.
Right.
Because God is, period.
Right.
And respecting other religions. And I went through that same spiritual.
Exactly. And not trying to force someone to be in your religion or, just, understanding and leaving it alone.
I don't believe in that at all.
Yeah.
I don't practice that at all. I believe in God. You believe in God. There are so many different paths to be in communion with God, to be in relationship with God.
Right.
I cannot tell you and will not tell you yours is wrong just because it's different.
Right.
Because that's what it's just different from mine. And I respect that.
Wow.
And I think if we meaning we as a country, we as a world would see through those eyes, we'd be a lot different and a lot better off than we are right now.
Exactly. Your husband would be very proud of you with that this last portion. I'm gonna have to snippet this portion and send it to him. He's your wife was preaching today.
We've had these conversations.
Really?
So because I've always been one, even a child growing up. I mean, we're in the South, so that my grandmother told me not that I couldn't question God. Or not to question God. And so I questioned her, which was, why not?
Yeah. Hello.
But it was more so not questioning who God is and what God can do. But she was like, yeah, you can ask God a question and why things happen. And that's what I meant when I said religion can be constricting sometimes, because we get in that space of, ooh, don't question God. And it's like, no, you can ask God a question so that you can have a better understanding of life. And what is this talent you've given me, God? What is this creative energy that you've given me, God? What am I supposed to do with this? Because God has already mapped it out for you.
Right.
God has already created that space for you. So you have to ask God how to get there.
Right. Exactly. He's the
What
creator.
does that look like? And just keep it in conversation. Always in conversation.
Yeah.
And my conversation with God is like my conversation with you.
It's supposed to be that way. Yeah.
It's not formal.
Yeah. Yeah. He made it. He made us. So, I mean, why would you be all like, thou art no? Yeah. I mean, no, that was the language back in the day. Now it's like,
the King James version of prayer.
Yeah. I know. Hello, we're not living in Roman times.
No,
or
not
biblical
at all.
times. We're in modern times where it's like, what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing?
Most definitely.
It's your girl Tam.
Yeah. It's just that.
But it's, I don't know. This is a topic I need to really bring a big panel in, because I think this is something that is almost an unspoken conversation with the Black community about churches, religious belief, why you stop going to church, and da. But
there is a big conversation out there, especially with the younger.
Yes.
I won't even. I forget all of the millennial this and Zoomers that.
The decade
but
titles.
I just say the 20s and the 30 somethings. There's a whole conversation about it and how they look at religion and how they receive it and God and making
because
that
I feel
connection.
like they're more woke. They know that, hey, yes, I was born into this religion, but now it's time to start questioning why I'm in this religion.
Exactly.
And if it's still for me.
Exactly.
Because I have my personal beliefs.
And people think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. People think it's dangerous to ask the question about religion. I think it's dangerous not to. Because, and what I mean by that, again, in building your own relationship with God, you have to ask the questions.
You have to.
So you can have a better understanding of what your relationship with God looks like.
Right.
God is a creator of all. So it's no different than a parent who has 5, 6, 7 kids. You don't, or you shouldn't, I should say, treat or connect with each of your children the same way.
You should.
Because they're all different.
Yes.
They're all different. So you have to take the time to figure out, how do I talk to, Jimmy and Joe? Because that conversation is going to look differently.
Exactly.
And how they respond to you is going to be different.
Right.
So the question is, I think, very necessary as we grow into the full humanness of who God created us to be.
Exactly. Have you ever, gave God, I hate to say ultimate.
I knew you were going to say an ultimatum.
No, not, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. Have you ever asked God for, because I would never do that. That's almost like you being a bully, to the master, the big man up there. And I would never disrespect the highest that way. But have you ever been in a situation and you've been like, God, can you please give me a sign? And you got the sign. I'll give you an example of mine where I was living in the other apartment across the courtyard, and I was going through something. I don't even know what I was going through, but I remember dropping down to my knees, and saying, Lord, please just give me a sign. And immediately I heard the ice in the kitchen drop down. I'm like I needed to know that you're hearing me. And when I heard that was the sign I needed. Now, I don't know what the relationship till today. I mean, this happened years ago between that, but the fact that something happened, and now every time I hear the ice drop in that thing is a trigger now. And it's like God is reminding me, hey, I'm still around. So,
oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. The one, and I haven't shared this very often, because I've heard people say that they've heard God's voice, and I don't question it, but I was sophomore year of college, and it was just I was having a really, really hard time. I was not in a very good space, and I literally asked God. In that moment, I was quiet. The room was dark. It was raining outside. I was playing my music. I love jazz. And I asked him to tell me if everything was going to be all right. I was like, and I just kept saying it, is everything going to be all right? Tell me everything is going to be okay. Tell me everything is going to be okay. Right. And I literally heard a voice say, God's voice say, it will be all right.
You heard that and you was wide awoke.
I opened my eyes.
You had your eyes.
Yeah, because I was crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, wow, who's in my room? It was just that audible. But I was 20 years old. So we're talking about, I'm not going to say my age, but we're talking about several decades ago.
Somebody's doing the math.
Yeah, someone's doing the math, or who already knows. But yeah, it was several decades ago. And that's always stayed with me, because just in that knowing, in that time, and I believe that God reaches out to us in different ways and allows his voice, her voice. And I say that because I also believe that God presents self in different ways.
Oh, yeah,
It
definitely.
reminds me of this movie I saw. It was a book called The Shack. We read
it
it.
was our book club.
Okay.
Yeah.
You remember the movie?
Yeah. The movie came out on Netflix.
Right.
Yeah.
So God, how many different ways did God present in that movie?
Oh, several ways.
Several different ways.
But the number one way was as a Black woman. Hey,
yes.
how you doing?
And when asked, because the character asked that question.
Yeah.
And she said, because I knew that you would receive me most like this. And that you needed me most in this way. As a Black woman, being nurturing and loving and forgiving. So God presents in the ways that we need God at that time.
To get the most attention
exactly,
from us. Yeah.
To know that we are loved and all will be well and we are forgiven.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I remember that part distinctively. Yeah.
So definitely God speaks to us and has spoken to me in different ways. Even with the showroom, when I said that God has a plan for us,
right,
already created, the showroom wasn't my plan. I want to make sure I've been sharing that because it's recent for me. I opened the showroom last year. It wasn't my plan. Because I'd never said, I want to have a store one day. Or, no, that wasn't. It was God's plan because as the opportunity presented itself financially to be able to do that, I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Should I do this? Should I take this? Should I say yes? If I say yes, what am I going to do with it? And God said, this is what you're going to do with it.
Wow.
You're going to have a space, you're going to create a space, and you're going to keep moving in that space because this is what I have for you. Not just this, because who knows where this is going to take me.
Right.
But in that, I was being, and I continue to be obedient in it, knowing that I'm going to have some earthly sacrifices, of course, but I'm going to be obedient in the path that has been laid out before me.
Absolutely.
I don't even know what it looks like from one day to the next, but that's what that faith is. That thing called faith.
Hello. You need to figure out what it is and get some.
That thing called faith.
You can't buy it. You got to
Nope.
inherit it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the future of Dawn Franklin Designs and where can people find you?
The future of Dawn Franklin Designs is what we just said, what I just said, walking in faith.
Okay.
Continuing to be honest with who I am and my creativity and my designs and what I want to do, continuing to design pieces by hand myself. I'll have some, like I said, that will be coming out this year that will be mass produced for the masses. So moving in that direction, and including interior and home, because there are some home decor products that I want to design myself.
Nice.
Some more accessory products that I want to design myself. Making that connection culturally, making sure that I have some manufacturers that are on the continent of Africa. So all of that is important to me, involving creating partnerships and collaborations with other Black men and Black women in our community, locally, across the country, and most importantly, on the continent, and making that connection and letting the world know that we have so much to offer as Black Americans, as African Americans, as Black people throughout the African diaspora, because it's more than just Africa, it's more than just the United States. And making sure that as I design and what I create communicates that, and that it is a teaching experience.
Exactly.
So doing that and reaching me, it's Dawn Franklin Designs on all of the social platforms. And I say that. Just recently got on TikTok.
Hey!
So, there's only one photo.
That's okay.
One video.
It's a start.
It's a start. But let me tell you who started. My little 10-year-old cousin, Riley. And Riley just created that TikTok for me literally 2 Saturdays ago.
Really?
And she was like, Cousin Dawn, you're not on TikTok. And it was like,
girl, you got to listen to the youth.
That shaking of the head of, I'm so disappointed in you that you're not there. And I was like, well, set me up. Create it, do it. So now on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Dawn Franklin Designs. It's the same handle. You can find me there.
Okay.
The website is the same name, dawnfranklindesigns.com. So you can definitely find me on all those spaces.
Awesome. So they can mainly find you on which?
I love hanging out on Instagram. That's just my
your jam.
Yeah, that's my jam. That's where I am. I try my very best to respond everywhere else, but Instagram, you're going to get a a quicker response. I'll say that,
Nice.
but definitely.
Wait, so one last question. Do you do custom pieces for weddings? And
I do. I just reinstated that, the custom designs.
Good.
With the caveat being that, or the understanding being that whatever that design is,
Right.
that we have to use the materials that I use, because I use the African trade beads,
Right.
but also semi-precious gemstones. So like your
Right.
quartz and your
I've seen
lapis and the agate. So I like to incorporate all of that, just so that we can make sure that we
Yeah.
keep it within the same energy and
Yes.
space that I like the design within, that it's very authentic and real.
that's another conversation. Like, what does each stone mean?
Oh,
And-
that's a whole different
Oh my
conversation.
God. I'm definitely going to have you to come back, because like now I'm intrigued. I
Yes.
went to California and I was trying to end, but we could still go. But I met a person who's into natural healing, and she had all these stones and she was actually selling them. And
Yes.
I personally didn't realize that every stone had a purpose.
Yes, it
You
has a
know?
purpose. It has a property. It has a meaning, because it comes from the earth.
Yeah.
They're created. They're
Right.
very natural.
Right.
And so what they pull in and draw in is also what they give out, what they release. And so you want to be
Yeah.
knowledgeable of that.
Wow. Well, guys, this is it for another
Yes.
episode of Always TamCam podcast show. Thank you, Dawn, for being one of my guests during Women's History Month. Guys, make sure you check out Dawn Franklin on all of her major social media platforms, but make sure you contact her on her website, dawnfranklin.com.
Dawn Franklin Designs.com.
I'll
And that's
have-
design with an S.
With an S, don't forget
Plural.
the S. But I'll make sure I put everything
Yes.
below this video. And once again, guys, go ahead and reach your potential. Do not let anything hold you back. And thank you for watching. Talk to you soon. Be blessed.